The astrological 12th house. The 12th house relates to the 12th sign of the zodiac, that being Pisces. And as Pisces affects you as an individual in ways that are evocative, sensual, spiritual. The 12th house carries these values into the outside world. The 12th house is most commonly known these days as the house of the unconscious and the subconscious. It is everything you can't think about. You cannot explain the 12th house, because to use the 12th house you use conscious, logical and analytical terminology, and that does not work with the unconscious and subconscious. Here we find the land of feel and intuit and dream and sense and imagination and fantasy. It is the nebulous, it is the unformable. Every time you try and make sense of it, it slips away. It is the side of us that the rationalists and the scientists, and to an extent the theologians, will try and deny that exists. But you find people with a lot of planets in the 12th house, and they're going to turn to you and go, yeah, I can tell you the difference between being lonely and alone. Lots of 12th house people can be alone in a room full of people. They beat to a different drum. They sing to a different resonance. They pick up vibes that other people don't. Sun in the 12th house people are alone. Live with it, all right? You're not lonely, but you're alone. You can be alone in a completely isolated environment, on a beach, in a forest, on a cliff. You can be alone in the middle of the city. But Sun in the 12th house people generally don't do well in concentrated crowds. However, they do better than people with the moon in the 12th house, which is one of the most latently intuitive and more than intuitive, but not psychic. What am I looking for? Visionary, I suppose. As positions you can possibly get. Highly empathic, highly sensitive to environments, to feelings, and to the swings of the moods of the gestalt around oneself, whether it be an environment, in people, in buildings. There's an empathy to topography, to landscape with the moon in the 12th house. With Mercury in the 12th house, these are the people who are going to try and use words to invoke feeling. They're not going to use words for logic. They're not going to try and get people to understand. They're going to try and get people to feel how they think, to feel the words, to know rather than to understand. Venus loves it in the 12th house. Hey, give me more of that magical, mystical, foggy, warm, nebulous, dreamy, hazy, vague, luxurious lifestyle. Absolutely. Venus likes that because it doesn't need boundaries. It can be formless, and it can flow, and it can just purr. Mars hates it in the 12th house. Actually, that's a really strong exaggeration. Mars can be comfortable in the 12th house if one can train one's physical energy in a way that involves a blending of spirituality, vision, and physicality. Hence martial arts or some form of high physical expression, fencing, something like that. But a Mars that is inactive, a 12th house Mars that is inactive, can be a sorry state, because then you find people who will turn to any type of stimulus for sensation. Jupiter in the 12th house is actually quite comfortable. Here Jupiter can sort of reign from on high and see the big picture and get the overview without having to be specific about anything. With the 12th house's more nebulous and vague qualities, Jupiter can actually sort of just cast edicts and not make the hard rules. Saturn in the 12th house. There is a need for mental self-discipline and study here. People with Saturn in the 12th house are advised to study various issues of philosophy, theology, their own truths, find their own truths, and live by their own rules rather than those pushed on them by others, because otherwise they become the victims and the martyrs. Saturn in the 12th house is not an easy position. It's someone who bends too easily, if necessary, to other people's wiles. Uranus in the 12th house, Chiron in the 12th house. Chiron's fine in the 12th house. It's all right. If it's working, don't fix it. The only way it's going to be difficult is if it's difficultly aspected. Uranus in the 12th house, again, If it's working, don't fix it. No need to mess with the disruptive and chaotic energies of Uranus in the 12th house unless it's challengingly aspected, in which case there is a need to bring into one's life the more trance-like states through dance, through long-distance running, through endurance efforts, almost like taking yourself out of your body to find your own truth. Neptune, of course, rules the 12th house. Say no more. It's just happy there. And Pluto in the 12th house is very actually dedicated towards bringing a type of transformation into the global rather than just the local community or the individual. It is more of a large transpersonal world receiver than it is an individual receiver stroke transmitter. There you go, folks. That's the 12th house. I'm feeling quite good about this at the moment, so I might do another one tonight. Catch you later anyway. Bye.